guys, it is April from Getting Huggy With It. Today is day 6 of the Sweet Autumn Read series. Today we're going to dive into classic book retellings. These are books that take our beloved stories that are in the canon and rejig them, revamp them a little bit, and make them their own. I'm so excited to get into this. Let's do it. First up is for all of the Jane Eyre fans out there, and there are many of you, I know that. I would recommend you read Jane Steele. This is a beautifully written, wonderful book. In this book we follow Jane Steele, who has a very similar life and lifestyle to Jane Eyre. She is an orphan at a very young age. She's orphaned and she goes to a boarding school, so on and so forth. It's very, very similar. However, Jane Steele is a murderer. She kills people. This is gritty and beautifully written. If you haven't read Jane Steele yet, I know it was really big on BookTube a couple of years ago. I think it needs a little revival because it was fantastic. Next is for all of the fans of Little Women. I want to introduce you to March. This is by Geraldine Brooks, and in this story we're looking at what happens to the March family's father while he goes off to war. In Little Women we find out what happens to the March women while their father is away at war in the Civil War. We learn about all of their little traditions and their sisterly love and the sisterly tension that happens. But I'm really excited to read this book myself. I haven't read it yet. I'm planning on reading it in the winter, I think. So this follows Mr. March as he enters the Civil War and is marching his way down south to fight the battle. This won the Pulitzer Prize in 2006, and I'm just so eager to read this retelling. Next up is for my fans of Pride and Prejudice. I am telling you, if you have not read Bridget Jones's Diary yet, what are you doing? It's so much fun. This is one of my favorite retellings. I just dove into this and could not put this down. And I read it many years ago, but it's still to this day one of my favorites. We follow Bridget, who is dealing with a very interesting boss. He's alluring and also a little insulting, and she has an enormous crush on him, of course. And we're also following her as she runs into this guy named Mr. Darcy. And who's gonna win out? Bridget has glimpses of Elizabeth, I would say. She's more of an attainable Elizabeth in my mind. She really resonates with me in a way that I wish that Elizabeth did, but to be honest, I'm much more of a Bridget than I am an Elizabeth. Anyway, if you haven't read it, it's great. Go and do it. Next up is for fans of The Turn of the Screw. For you, I would recommend Florence and Giles. Now this follows young Florence. And the beginning of the book follows Florence sneaking into the library, grabbing some library books and going up to the tower to read. And it's not overly scary at the very beginning, and it takes some time to get into it, but once you're in, you're in. Eventually, a governess comes on board, and Florence is very concerned about this governess because she's acting very oddly. She's very clingy with her younger brother Giles. She is like up in the middle of the night, and she's also eating very oddly, and Florence just thinks something is wrong with his governess. This is one of my favorite horror stories. I absolutely loved it, and I think you will too. Finally, for people who are fans of Taming of the Shrew, I have Vinegar Girl for you. This is a retelling by Anne Tyler. Now, she wrote this retelling a couple of years ago now, I think it was 2016, and it follows the same kind of storyline as The Taming of the Shrew. So in this, we follow Kate, who is really feeling stuck in her life. She's running the house and home of her really eccentric scientist father, and then her father is very close to a breakthrough in his work, and he's got this assistant that helps him named Piotr. Piotr is about to be deported, and he's just so worried about that happening, and so he comes up with this elaborate plan, and of course he needs Kate's help with that. I have not read Vinegar Girl yet. I read The Taming of the Shrew years ago for university, and I liked it. So it would be really fun to kind of dive in to Shakespeare without having to dive into Shakespeare. Anyway, I hope that you guys like this little rendition of classic book retellings. Please let me know in the comments below what classic book retellings you have liked. I would love to know. And stay tuned tomorrow for ghost stories. See you later. Bye!